I made these super professional ad creatives using Google's new Nano Banana Pro and n8n in less than 2 minutes and for 14 cents per ad creative. You can see that the quality is really good, the text is incredible and professional, and the image is also presented in a really attractive way. Thanks to Google's new Nano Banana Pro, the playing field for anyone running meta ads is completely level. Where you used to have to spend hundreds of dollars to get all these ad creatives made, with this workflow powered by Nano Banana Pro, you can generate hundreds of ad creatives every single day for pennies on the dollar. So let me go ahead and demonstrate this for you. So here's a product that I want to make an ad for. So I've grabbed the image over here. So let me go ahead. I'm going to paste in the URL of that image, and I'm also going to paste in the title of the product. Now this information is going to go into an AI agent, and it's going to use OpenRouter to talk to Anthropic Opus 4.5, which is their most advanced reasoning model. And we're going to use Opus 4.5 to brainstorm ad angles and target audiences, right? So we have ad angle 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So let's say we want to use the health and posture solution angle. So I'm going to go ahead and copy this, paste it in, and now it's going to brainstorm some ad creative concepts. And then based on the ad creative that we select, it's going to generate a prompt, send that prompt to Nano Banana, and come back to us with a fresh ad creative. Okay, so here are 5 ad style variations: before, after, pain point call out, anatomy support highlight, doctor expert endorsement style, and a lifestyle relief. So let's say we like the before and after. I'm going to copy this, paste this in, and then it's going to show us some copy options as well. So let's just say we want to stick to option 1, simple and clean, paste that in, and then this should kickstart the image generation process, which this agent will do by calling this sub agent. So after one last confirmation, you'll see that it called the sub agent. Now this tool is going to generate a very detailed prompt, which it will then send to Nano Banana through this sub workflow over here. So this is going to take a few seconds, and once it's done, I'm going to show you the ready image. All right, so it's calling the sub workflow, which is this, to generate the image. Once this is done, we should get a Google Drive URL back to us. All right, so here is the Drive URL. And here is the ad creative, complete with that exact chair replicated in this ad. All right, awesome. If you're enjoying this tutorial so far and you want to grab the template, you can find it in my school community along with a detailed step-by-step build instructions. There are more details in the description, so you can go ahead and check it out there. So let's go through how you can build this for yourself. This workflow is in 2 parts. We have an AI agent that helps us brainstorm the ad angles and actually generates the prompt. And then we have a sub workflow which actually goes ahead and generates the image. So everything starts with our trusty chat trigger, which you can click the plus icon, search for chat, and drag it over here. That's the chat trigger. That goes into an AI agent. So click the plus icon, search for AI agent, drag that in and put it over here. So if I open up the AI agent, we'll see that the prompt is coming from the chat input, and we have this system message over here. Pretty basic. You're a static ad expert for e-commerce stores. Your job is to help me come up with ad variations for my product. So I'll provide a product image URL and tell you what the product is. It's going to help me come up with 5 ad angles and target audiences, and then based on that, it's going to come up with ad concepts and creatives. So the way Meta's engine actually analyzes the creative, and then based on that, it shows that to different pockets of audiences. And the way that you can win with e-commerce, and I know this because I used to run multiple e-commerce businesses and I've spent thousands of dollars on meta ads, is that you need to test multiple creatives to find those winning ad angles and winning creatives and winning audiences. It's a mix of all 3 of those. So the more ad angles that you can test, the more audiences that you can test, and the more creatives that you can test, the quicker you are going to be able to hit that golden vein that you can then capitalize on. So this AI agent is designed to help you do exactly that. Now this agent needs a brain, and for that brain we're using OpenRouter, and through OpenRouter we're going to use Claude Opus 4.5. Now, I found that Opus 4.5 is really fantastic for complex reasoning and out-of-the-box thinking. It's fairly expensive, but since we're not using that many tokens, Opus 4.5 actually works out to be more economical because of the quality of results that it can get you. And the reason we're using OpenRouter is that this workflow is kind of future-proof. So in case you want to try with another model, you don't have to go ahead and get another API key and top up some money elsewhere. You've already got a balance in OpenRouter. All you need to do is just come over here, choose a different model, and you can experiment to see what gets you better results for your particular niche. So that's the brain. It also needs some memory, which we can clicking the plus icon and searching for simple memory. So the memory helps the agent remember what was said earlier, so it actually works out like a proper conversation. And finally, we have a tool call, which is an AI agent tool. So you can search for AI agent, and the option on the bottom here is the AI agent tool. The AI agent tool actually lets you abstract your workflow into multiple parts. So essentially what's going on here is the main agent is only there for brainstorming ad angles and concepts, and the image generation AI agent is a sub agent which is designed to generate really hyper specific prompts that can get you the best results from Nano Banana Pro. So we have the top agent doing the brainstorming, and we have the bottom agent generating and writing that prompt for us. So if I open this up and open up the system prompt, you'll see that there is a fairly detailed set of instructions for what that final prompt should contain in order to get that best result possible. So if you recall, we had to paste in the product URL as well, and that's because we're not sending the image through any API calls. We're actually just going to send that URL directly to Nano Banana. Nano Banana is going to read that URL, understand what the product looks like, and then replicate it as it needs in the new AI image. And if we dig into the system prompt, we'll see that there is an extra option here called requires usage reference. Now, this is built into the prompt because certain products are kind of difficult for the AI to understand how the proportions work or how it actually fits on a person or whatever its intended use is. So instead of sending just a single image of the product, in some cases you may need to send two images, one of the product itself and one of the product in use. So then Nano Banana can actually analyze both images, really understand what the product is and how that product should look when it's used, and create a more faithful representation of that product in the ad. And I'll show you how this works in the sub workflow. So this image generation agent again is connected to OpenRouter. This time I'm still using Anthropic, but instead of Opus, I'm going to use Sonnet 4.5. And this is because in my experience over the past few months, I've seen that Anthropic's models are exceptional at generating prompts. So more than anything else, I like using Anthropic for those use cases. So I've got Sonnet 4.5. We also need to give it some memory just in case there are multiple iterations. We don't want it to forget what's going on halfway in between. And finally, we have a sub workflow tool, which we can find by clicking the plus icon over here and use call n8n workflow tool. Now, this sub workflow is built into this one itself. So if I open this up, we'll see that it has a description called this tool with the prompt. The source of that workflow is the database, and we can just choose this exact same one from that list. Now, this tool requires these variables. All of these variables are going to be defined by the model. And in order to do that, you can just go ahead and click this little AI button over here, and it's going to make sure that the model fills all of these in automatically. You don't need to define those manually. Now, to set this up, we're going to need a when executed by another workflow trigger. If I open this up, we'll see that we need to define the input mode. We need to define the input data. That data is the same as what we saw in the tool. So we have the prompt, which is a string. We have the original image, which is a string. We have the usage reference image, which is also a string. And finally, we have a Boolean, which is a true or false variable called requires reference. Now, we need this because depending on whether we're giving it one or two URLs, that initial HTTP request to get the image generation going to be different. So let me go ahead into executions and find that specific execution of the sub workflow. which is this over here. We're going to copy this to the editor so you can actually see how the data flowed in that last ad that we made. So if I click here, we'll see that we have the office chair going. It's also given the original image URL, and there's no usage reference image, and the requires reference is false. So from this trigger, we're going to start with a switch node, which again you can grab by going here and typing in switch. Now the switch node is going to see whether requires reference is true or false. So if it's false, it's going to go this path, and if requires reference is true, it's going to go down this path. Now from here, we are going to make an HTTP request to OpenRouter. And again, we're using OpenRouter instead of Google's native nodes, just in the interest of sticking to one very flexible ecosystem. So if we go over to OpenRouter and go into models and then find image models and scroll down until you find Google Nano Banana Pro, click here. And if you go to Quick Start and click on curl, you'll see the URL that you need to make the HTTP call to and the body that we need to send. Now, the body that we are sending is actually a little different than what's in the documentation, because we not only do we have a message, but we also have reference URLs. And again, you can find this by downloading the workflow template from the school community. More details are in the description. So we have an HTTP request, which is going to this URL here. Since OpenRouter credentials are saved by default in n8n, you can use predefined credential type, select OpenRouter from the credential type, and go ahead and grab your API key by going into OpenRouter, go to keys, create API key, and paste that in here. You would have already done that presumably in the AI agent setup. And we need to send a JSON body as well. So this is the body that we're sending. Up until here is pretty much the same as what you can see over here. The only difference is that we're also sending an image URL, and that URL we are getting from the original workflow trigger, original image, this one over here. So that's that. We'll then go into a code node to clean up the output. I'll explain that in just a second. So coming back to the switch node, if requires reference were true, it would go down this path. And the only difference between path A and path B is that we have two image URLs in path B, whereas we only had one in path A. Otherwise, everything else is pretty much identical. Now, if we open this up and if I show you the output, you'll see that the data is not actually an image, but it's actually a whole chunk of base64 text. Now, base64 is a special type of encoding where you take a binary file and you turn it into this big string of text. n8n has a special node that can reconstruct this text back into its original file. So from this, we are hitting a JavaScript code node just to clean up that base64 text. Sometimes OpenRouter sends some extra characters at the start that we need to trim. So that's what this is doing. And from this JavaScript node, we are going to drop a convert to file node, which you can find by going here, click convert to file. And convert to file will take that base64 string, which we have from our code node, this over here, and it's going to put that output in a data file back as a binary file. So we need to give it a file name, and we also need to specify the type of file. So in this case, Gemini sends images back as image/png. So that's what you put under MIME type. And you'll see that this string is converted into an image. And if I click view, you'll see that we have that same image over here. Now, once we have the working image, we're going to upload that image to Google Drive. And in case you want to make that image accessible to anybody with the link, we're also going to share that image. And you can share it by grabbing the ID from the upload file node, dragging it over here. The role will be reader and the type will be anyone. And finally, an edit fields node contains just the web content link from that upload file node. So what the edit fields node will do is, if you go back one node, you'll see that the output from this contains all of this data. The output from the previous node contains all of this data. When this workflow ends, it's going to send everything back, all that data that's been collected through all of these nodes. And we don't want to do that. All we really want to send back is that single Google Drive link. So we do that by adding an edit fields node and just dropping in that one data point that we want to continue down the workflow. and you'll see that include other input fields is turned off, which means everything else will be forgotten, and the only thing that'll remain is this link over here. Now that link goes back into this AI agent, which will pass it back here, and that will show up in the chat as the final response. If you own an e-commerce store and you run meta ads, this workflow can help you increase your ad creative output 100x easily. If you are a marketing agency and you're working with multiple clients and you have to pay your graphic designers through the nose, this workflow can save you big money on graphic design costs and help you get better results for your clients by testing more ad creatives with greater speed. So if you enjoyed this video, I'd really appreciate it if you could give this video a like, and do remember to subscribe to the channel for more AI and automation content.